From the Ticats Audio Network, this is the Ticats This Week with RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker.
Tiger Cats are 3-6 and hitting the road for their furthest trip of the season, off to Vancouver to play the BC Lions on Saturday. That is a 7 o'clock Eastern time start. We will have the game for you on the Ticats Audio Network, but that is significant that it is not a super late start, which could be a factor, maybe help the Tiger Cats a little bit. We'll have to see, but welcome to Ticats This Week. I'm RJ Broadhead along with Luke Tasker. And Luke, that loss against Edmonton, their first win of the season, there's a lot of things combined in there that make that feel like it was a tough loss and maybe a low point of the season. How have you looked at that as you reflect on it this week?
Yeah, the same. I'd say that Edmonton game feels like a low point. It was tough. The Ticats coming off of a bye week, and now going into an extended week here from a Thursday to a Saturday. That always felt like another bye week when you're in there. You know, you get just a lot of time between those games, and so it's just like a lull in the season, right? Not a lot going on, and a really unfortunate loss to a team that you played very well a few weeks back and beat in Edmonton. And so, and of course, yeah, the CFL storyline, of course, of Edmonton breaking their losing streak, and Trey Ford, playing a good game there. So yeah, a low point for the Tiger Cats in a time now that they need to sort of bounce back from that. Not easy to go out west and do that in BC.
Yeah, you can pull a ton of negatives out of that game, but try to think of some positives moving forward. And Tiger Cats got some help. Calgary and Ottawa, two teams that are theoretically behind them. Of course, in the standings, Ottawa is behind them, and with that crossover, just have to stay even with Calgary. And I guess the fact that Hamilton has the season series on Ottawa, just have to stay even with them. And stay even with Edmonton. They stay ahead of those three teams, and they're in a playoff spot. So despite the low point of the season, the loss to Edmonton, the week ends, and the Tiger Cats are still in a playoff spot, with Calgary and Ottawa both losing by 1 point, barely losing. So pretty crazy how that kind of worked out in the Tiger Cats' favor, and that just kind of leads me to believe that maybe some good things are coming for the Tiger Cats, despite how frustrating that loss was. They did get some help, and after that, they're still in a playoff spot, which means they still hold their fate in their own hands, and we don't have to talk about must-wins yet.
You're so right. Not yet. I'm encouraged. Like you look back, and the thing that jumps out about the Edmonton game that's sort of encouraging in a sense is that there's some areas that are just so obvious. If you eliminate this category of mistakes or bad play, it's going to look different. And the one is the 7 sacks. That's just an outrageous number to have in a football game, and almost. Not obviously, it's never obvious. With the offensive line play is a mystery to onlookers, so often. But that's a combination of offensive line play and Taylor Powell's movement in the pocket. And so if they kind of can get can make some headway there and fix some of those issues, even if you can cut that number in half in this next week as you go to BC, that's going to look a lot different. That's a lot of drives that have a little bit more life when you don't take those sacks. And so would love to see that get a little better out in Vancouver. Taylor Powell protected the football through the air. He had that fumble as he was running out of the pocket, and that's a good play. It was Ed Gainey who made that happen. That's a good play, and that's gonna happen sometimes. But Taylor Powell is protecting the ball through the air. So can they continue to protect the football, eliminate some of those sacks, and then can you try to move the ball down the field a little bit more through the air? A young quarterback trying to protect the football. But finishing some of those drives in the end zone, and yeah, it looks a little different. But honestly, I'm not totally discouraged by the Ticat offense either. Taylor Powell has a lot of things to learn, and a lot of I expect to see him get better and better each week. He's going to experience a learning curve here in these first starts in the CFL. So we'll see if a trip out to Vancouver can be part of the fix for him.
Yeah, it would be good. We know BC's a really good team coming off a loss against Saskatchewan, so they're going to be hungry. I don't know if it's a positive to take from the game against Edmonton, but when you look at the points that the Ticats left on the table and should have had, and normally in a game would have had, they had enough to win. 3 missed field goals, that's rare. That is not going to happen very often. A missed convert, that's an area that has happened too much this year. 6 for 10 in 1-point converts. I'm sure that's something that's being worked on. And Tyreek McAllister, second time this year, he's run a punt back for a touchdown that's been called back due to penalties. So you add that up. You don't even put a convert on that touchdown. That's 16 points for the Tiger Cats. That's enough to win that football game. So there's another, I guess, learning tool to be, look, guys, like we got to get these points when we have the chance. And they've talked about it all season, getting touchdowns instead of field goals. But so many things in the last 8 games of the season now that the Tiger Cats have to fix. 9 games of the season. But when you look at those points left on the table, it was enough to beat Edmonton. That's a bit surprising and encouraging at the same time.
Yeah, and that's making those what were very makeable field goals. Then especially if you can turn some of those drives into touchdowns too, and that's just an ongoing issue. And a change that was the first game with the change at offensive coordinator Scott Milanovic calling plays now, and so that progression, you hope to see their score zone efficiency increase. And this is a long week, and there's a lot you can get done in that many days between games. Scott Milanovic and Taylor Powell, that's sort of, I want to see how that progresses. Are they able to figure out a game plan that really makes Taylor Powell feel comfortable and some play calling that allows him to do what he's good at? We'll see. I would love to see the comfort level increase,
Yeah, and I think it will. It kind of strange how it worked out with the change, and maybe it was planned, but Milanovic was brought in during a bye week, so that's a lot of getting used to. But this has been a long week. Tiger Cats played last Thursday. They don't play again till Saturday. And then they have another really long week because after this game, they don't play until Labor Day against the Argos. So there's another long span in there where Scott could maybe implement his plan. So in an odd way, this might work out for the Tiger Cats, where Scott has a lot of time to work with Taylor Powell, and hopefully the results show. One thing that stands out to me, Luke, is Taylor Powell has to figure out a way to start throwing a deeper ball. Everything's been short, and teams will pick up on that pretty quickly, I would think. If I've picked up on it, I assume defensive coordinators have.
Yeah, in fact, you even saw Edmonton play a pretty tight defensive coverage for most of that game. If you're not exactly threatened by a deep ball, you can take out space for pre-snap. As a defensive coordinator, and receivers, then they have to play the whole game with a guy right up in their face. Guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and it's disruptive to routes. You got to be able to threaten the deep ball. We'll see. You've got Terry Godwin coming back into the lineup, a guy who I've loved watching for this entire season. We've seen a couple times him in that sort of 10 to 20 yard range, those 15-yard catches crossing the middle. We've seen some great catches and some good route running. Would love to see him get back involved quickly in the lineup and maybe be part of Taylor Powell's growth and progression of having the confidence and the ability to move the ball down the field in bigger chunks.
Yeah, Terry Godwin out last game due to illness. He is back in and statistically has had a great season for the Tiger Cats. Anthony Johnson will be out for the Tiger Cats, which probably is the biggest, most significant change in the depth chart going into BC against the Lions. Having him back will help. James Butler had a big game. He's had 2 really big games this year. Both are against Edmonton. Kind of get the feeling from Butler that playing against his former team, that might give him some motivation. I think he's got to show that he can have big games against other teams other than the Elks, and I think it starts on Saturday, don't you?
Yeah, and man, something back and forth this whole season. It's just been such a thorn for the Ticats. Is the balance of the run and the pass. It's like you can only get one or the other, and if they can have James Butler getting that 6-7 yards on first down, they can have him converting the short second downs and alleviate some of the pressure on a young quarterback who's trying to establish a passing game. I mean, that the hand in hand is just always fruitful for an offense. And as we've talked many times, it's the offensive line do best when there's a successful run game, allowing them to pass protect better. And so a combination of some James Butler productivity with Terry Godwin and Duke Williams and Tim White and the rest, and if we can see all these guys compiling together. Part of the deal is just keeping the ball in that offense's hands, and the games that have got away from the Ticats, like the second half here with against Edmonton, it's like that defense carries a pretty heavy burden, with just being unable to get off the field and then coming right back on when they do get off.
Yeah, the defense is a topic too, and for the most part they've been good, but that rushing statistic just blows my mind every time I look at it. They still struggle. 165 yards rushing the Elks had. That's the most the Ticats have allowed this season. 8 of 9 games they've allowed at least 100 yards rushing, and there's various reasons for that. It's not just a straight statistic. Sometimes teams have had leads, and sometimes they get the huge run that accumulates the yardage. But I looked a little deeper, Luke, and maybe you can tell me if this is significant or not, but the opposition has rushed 21 or more times against Hamilton in 7 of 9 games. So they have a game plan going in to rush the football, it seems. To put that into perspective, Hamilton's rushed the ball 20 times just twice this season. So opposition have done it 7 of 9 games against the Ticats. Ticats offense has done it just twice. So that tells me that teams want to try to run the ball against the Tiger Cats, and maybe some of it's score dictated, but that's not the case in the past. Teams kind of abandoned the run after a couple of tries that weren't successful. It seems like there's a bit of a switch this year.
Yeah, you're right. The years that you and I have been calling the games, we've been used to a very stout Ticats defense against the run, and everything every year changes, right? But part of that too is the run game eats up the clock too, and we've seen that so many times where just even a quarter, the third quarter, say, it's just disappeared on the Ticats. Like it's just the clock just gets eaten up immediately. We had a first quarter game in that game in Edmonton. That the first quarter was in real time 31 minutes. Like it was really really fast, and the run game speeds up the pace of play. But you're right. I mean, teams going back to the run after having success, it's just it's a slow bleed, right? And the Ticats have not been as good against that in the run stop that we've been used to in years past.
And of course, BC's one of the top teams. They've got some top receivers. Alex Hollins had a huge game in that loss against Saskatchewan. He's the second leading receiver coming into this week. They've got a long list of receivers, and Mizell, their running backs, had a pretty good year, just behind James Butler in the CFL rushing leaders. So it's this is a tough offense, and it might be, besides Winnipeg and Toronto, one of the toughest tests to shut down the BC Lions, which not many teams have been able to do, and maybe they can take some hints from that Saskatchewan victory, but the Lions almost came back to win that game after being in a big hole. So this is a tough game. Yeah,
good team in BC, and I feel like I can remember every single time I went out to BC. Like, it's just every time was a memorable trip. I do remember we lost some close games, and we won out in BC as well. And it's just it's sort of for some reason, it's a checkpoint in the season. As a Ticat team or an East Division, you're only going to you only go out there once a year, right? And it's sort of on your radar. It's just it's a fun trip, and that may sound sort of meaningless, but truthfully, and you're 3-6, you got to go enjoy this. You got to go, dream big and go out there and intend to win that game and enjoy being with the team on sort of an extended road trip west. It's a great stadium to play in. And it would be a real great opportunity and a great part of this season to bounce back from an Edmonton loss at home and to go out west and win. You mentioned at the top of the show here that it's a 7 p.m. Hamilton time kickoff, which is, I remember you were having an 8 p.m. BC time kickoff. So you're kicking off at 11 p.m. Home time. That seemed like a joke. That time when we did that. That's bizarre. But this is a helpful kickoff time. And a great opportunity, and so you got to frame that way as a player. You can't ever expect the worst, and you go play for the best, and why not make it the best day to have? Why not make it the day to have your best game? RJ, as you look ahead, you mentioned Labor Day. Of course, Toronto, and they're playing very, very well. But there's a lot of Toronto, Winnipeg, and you start here with BC ahead of you on this schedule here. So, the Ticats, no better time than now to start turning over some of the pages we've mentioned here.
Yeah, you were a great player, Luke. We all know that, but you're also a glue guy. And you and I were talking before we began Ticats this week, talking off camera, and something that might help the Tiger Cats on this trip and going forward in the season is after practice on Thursday, they flew to Vancouver. So all day Friday, they've got a chance for real team bonding. And then they play Saturday at 4 o'clock BC time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. But having that full day on the road together as a team, is that significant?
Oh, it's great. It's just great. It's the best. Well, it's tied for the best of cities of the road trips. I mean, I kind of like. It's one of my favorite parts of the CFL is the road trips, but Vancouver's great. I mean, we walked all over the city.
Well, wait a second. There's a tie. So Vancouver, you got to let us know where Vancouver's tied with.
Well, I actually loved Calgary too. But I love Ottawa and Montreal. I mean, they're fun to go to. Calgary, we spent so long in.
Is it an 8-way tie for first place?
No, I love Regina, RJ, but I can't. I know you're out there. You're a Saskatchewan guy, but Regina, though I love it, Golf's is a great steakhouse, but probably not tied for the best road trip, I would say.
Okay.
But Calgary, though, we spent weeks out there because we would do the Edmonton-Calgary week where we'd stay out west, and just a phenomenal city. Lake Louise we would go to. Don't want to get sidetracked here. I can get carried away on every city, but Ottawa and Montreal were a blast too. But in Vancouver, we'd walk all over the city. We'd go have a fun day. We'd go see everything, and that it really is. It makes the whole team. When you do that kind of stuff together, everybody. It's no different than. It's no different than, even if you're not an athlete, it's no different than when your company does some sort of event or thing like that, and you learn your coworkers better after that week, and it's no real different, except imagine at the end of your work weekend trip, then you have to all together go get in a street fight with another company's work event. Imagine how much more better friends you'd be after that. That's kind of what it's like on a football road trip when you have that time together. And obviously you get the Pacific Coast sushi and all that kind of stuff too, and so it's great, and I'm glad that they go out there a day early. That's what I would do if I was calling the shots, and so hopefully they do. Hopefully they're smiling and walking around and excited with positive energy, ready to go play a great football game.
And I want to touch on this just because you kind of brought it up with the teams remaining for the Tiger Cats. They've got 4 home games remaining: Toronto, Winnipeg, Calgary, and BC at home. So it's Toronto's the only East Division team that they've got remaining at home. On the road, 5 games. That includes Saturday in BC. They'll be in Ottawa, in Toronto, in Saskatchewan, in Montreal. So 4 games remaining against the East, 5 against the West. So breaking things down, it's an important stretch, and going into BC and stealing one would be huge. When you look at that schedule, the team's 3-6, still holding their fate in their own hands coming into this week in third place in the East Division. That is a playoff position. It's a tough schedule, though. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is tough. it's almost like all the games are tough, right, RJ? It's like it still comes down to not who you're playing, but what you're doing and how well are you executing. And the Ticats, the focus is internal. You've got to fix the sacks. You've got to make your field goals. You've got to you've started to protect the football. You got to continue doing that. You've got to start taking away the football. That's been an ongoing problem for the Ticat defense, right? Penalties have ebbed and flowed through the season. But I don't know what your perception of this is, RJ. Even in games where there has been a lot, there's been some costly penalties, like penalties at the wrong time or the wrong kind of penalty, and so you continue to work on that the discipline part of the thing too. And so, yeah, it's a tough schedule, and no matter who it is, you're going to have to start winning football games pretty soon here. And so you got to go one at a time here, and why not start in Vancouver?
Yeah, a couple stand out. The roughing the punter against Montreal, and of course last game, Hamilton took 4 penalties. 2 of them came on the Tyreek McAllister punt return that would have been a touchdown. So you're right. The timing of the penalties. The good news is they only took 4 penalties. The timing was it was costly. And I've talked to coaches and players. That's a fixable problem. Yeah,
for sure. It is the same as turnovers. For the most part, turnovers are very fixable. Certainly in the category of interceptions and ball security, that Taylor Powell fumble is, you want him to have better ball security, but a quarterback looking down, that is classic. You got to give it to the defense to force that type of thing. But even that is a teachable moment. And yeah, certainly it's fixable. That's why there's hope. That's why it's almost easier to be a player at times in situations like this in a season than it is to be a fan or an analyst, because you, as a player, you know that this week might be the week where your team corrects those things all at once, where the dominoes start to fall the right direction, and you have ball security and you have good decision making that avoids penalties. And so you have control as a player. So it gives you some confidence. It makes you feel good. As a fan, you're just sitting there, like in a straitjacket, rocking back and forth because you just have nothing that you can do to help. And so you just have to sit and just watch it happen. And it kind of goes in line with this BC trip, is that, at some point you're going to learn, you got to hope that you're just going to learn to correct the things that you haven't been doing right, and have a positive mindset towards your preparation and execution.
Yeah. So from a fan's perspective, Luke, and I want you to kind of put the fans at ease, because Tiger Cats lose to Edmonton. That's tough. Lose at home to Edmonton. Now it's a tough road trip to go out to BC. They're a terrific football team. Looking at it on paper, it's tough. It looks like it's going to be tough for the Tiger Cats. What do you want to see from them on Saturday if they're going to win the football game?
Yeah, what's interesting about the BC Lions is actually they also have a negative turnover ratio right now. And they're a good football team winning games, but they haven't done great in the turnover category either. I would love to see this Ticat defense take the football away. I would love to see you're stealing a few drives, a few opportunities for your offense. And then we've already touched on, you have to establish a better passing game for the Ticats offense. And so what I want to see is the progression of Taylor Powell and the involvement of the receiving core. Those 2 factors right there would be a great start, winning the turnover ratio and an effective passing game. Mixed bag we've gotten from the Ticats special teams. Don't you think? Like, it's been, you've mentioned the Tyreek McAllister missed return touchdowns. I would love to see just a special teams game, and that's sort of an open-ended sort of metric. It's not exactly scientific, but we could start with a field position, just winning the field position battle, making that BC Lions offense that's operating very effectively. Well, if you can make them go 100 yards a lot of the game, way behind their own 20 to start, 90, 100 yards if they can have to run the whole field. If they're starting their drives near that center line, if they're up at their 50, if they're at the center line, if they're in Ticats territory, that's going to be a difficult 60 minutes for the Ticat defense. So we'll see. It's if you wanted to boil down my answer to that question, it's 3 phases of the football game with a slight advantage in each one. You just got to win these individual battles to have good complementary football.
Well, that's great, Luke, and it gives fans and us, while we're calling the game, a little something to watch, and we'll certainly be updating everybody on how the Tiger Cats are going, and this would be huge. This could be totally change the season for the Tiger Cats going into Vancouver and getting a win. Luke, looking forward to seeing you at the game, and we'll see. Maybe it's a big road win for the Tiger Cats, but. We know it's a battle of the big cats, so we'll see which one comes out on top.
Awesome. Looking forward to it, RJ. See you there.
So, Tiger Cats Game Day with Mike Daly and Courtney Stephen. That will be coming out before the game. And, of course, the pregame show starts at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Please note that. It is not a super late start in BC, so Bubba and Andy Fantus will have the pregame show beginning at 6. Luke and I will have the play-by-play at 7 o'clock as the Tiger Cats visit the BC Lions. That's Saturday at 7 o'clock on the Ticats Audio Network. Thanks for listening to Ticats This Week.
It's been another busy week for your Hamilton Tiger Cats. Luke Tasker and RJ Broadhead have covered it all, and now we would like to hear from you. Email us anytime at gameday@ticats.ca. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.